G'day Bomber fans. Well, big surprise, but one I'm pretty happy with. We obviously finished up draft night on Thursday. We took 5 players in, and then we had the rookie draft to get through as well. We were always going to take Jaden Nguyen as a Category B rookie and one other name. And luckily for us, the guy we took was actually someone I've highlighted as a target of mine before draft night, Archer Day-Wicks. We took him with pick 6 in the rookie draft, while some teams were re-signing 30-year-olds. We took a really exciting prospect. I've said on this channel once or twice, even before we drafted him, that this kid could be anything. There's a bit to talk about today, because this is a very interesting player. And now also stay tuned, by the way, because later today I will also release a video talking about Angus Clark, and he's someone I'm really hyped for. That's an exciting pickup for the club. And then tomorrow, if all goes according to plan, I should be talking about both Reece Unwin and Zach Johnson in separate videos as well. We'll see how I go. No promises, but yeah, let's talk about Archer Day-Wicks today. Archer Day-Wicks, great name, 186 centimeter utility. I'd say he's mostly a high half forward, but he can play through the midfield. Left-footed kick, he's a high-flying impact player, very creative, but also really competitive, which is good. It's really hard to describe him in a few words as a player, and really to sum him up before I get on about his strengths and weaknesses, I'd say this guy is pure untapped potential. Coming into the year, he was rated really highly. He was probably a top 20 or so player before 2024. His bottom age year was strong. He was invited to the AFL Academy. That's something that only really happens to the best draft prospects each year. Isaac Kako wasn't even invited to the Academy. And from that, he was actually given a chance to train with Essendon, funnily enough, over the preseason. So he's familiar with the club. He's familiar with some of the boys, which is good. I think if you told me that he would miss out on the national draft at the start of the year, I would have been very surprised. But he started the year with a bout with glandular fever. He had some injury worries as well, and it's a tough ask to get back to your best after a few setbacks. So if anything, that's kind of promising, the fact that he probably had a few reasons to be off the mark this year. He was nowhere near as good as we thought he was going to be. That goes without saying. But maybe with a clean run of health and some freedom with no pressure on the AFL list, we could see him flourish. That's honestly not surprising to me if it happens. So Day-Wicks is a really exciting X-Factor player. It's hard not to watch him when he is around the ball. He bases his game off Isaac Heaney, and you can see that with his game style. Quite similar roles and styles in a lot of ways. And as a bloke, from what I've seen, he just seems like a little bit of a larrikin. He's real confidence. He likes to be at the forefront of a conversation. I think that's really important when you look at these impact players, guys that don't shy away from a moment. You can often tell who lives for the pressure from their personality alone. And I think Archer just seems like a really confident and extroverted kid, which is good at this age. This is just from podcast and stuff, though, by the way. It's not like I know the bloke. But you guys don't want to hear about that too much. So let's have a look at some of his stats from the year and then get onto his strengths and weaknesses as a player. Some stats to list off. Remember, he did have that interrupted start to the year, so there are some outlier performances, and that explains his lower than usual numbers. His first game was an 11 disposal, 2 behind outing for Bendigo, that is. He only managed to hit 20 touches twice in his 7 Bendigo games in the Talent League. First 7, I should say. But as the year went on, you really saw him get going. He had one game, 3 goals and 22 touches, another with 3 goals and 24, 3 goals and 23. He was very inconsistent. He would have a monster game and followed up with a poor one, but at his best, he was just incredible. And we saw a bit of that for Vic Country as well in glimpses. He really played out the Champs campaign in patches. He was a tad underdone at this stage. He only played the 3 games, but he had some massive moments, including what at the time looked to be a match winner in that tense game against Vic Metro. He played primarily up forward in those matches, and he was dangerous, and this came after his Champs debut the year before as a bottom ager, which is always a really good sign, playing Champs footy as a 17 or 16-year-old. So you can expect him to be that mercurial 15 touch and a goal game forward. Looking at these stats, his stats don't look amazing, but you do feel an impact when he is playing. So let's talk strengths and weaknesses. What should we be looking forward to with Archer Day-Wicks? Starting with strengths, it all starts with X Factor. You're going to hear this guy described as exciting or mercurial or whatever the word may be. There's always going to be a way to describe him and the excitement he brings to those watching. He is really fun to watch, and that comes from his knack of just doing things that others may not be able to do on field, whether it's a massive specky or just a freak goal or a really clever bit of skill. Sometimes he will fluff the basics, and then he's just going to kick an absolute ripper from the boundary. That's just what you get from him. Marking, for his size, he's a really good target inside 50. He's got really good timing, not only of his leads, but of his jumps and leaps to the ball. I feel like he's got a good wingspan on it as well, because quite often defenders just can't reach the spoil will when the ball's at its highest point. His marking is a great asset that makes him such a dangerous jack of all trades inside forward 50 and around the ground. And versatility, we can play quite a few different roles. I like him as a forward, that Isaac Heaney flanker who can run through the guts. Obviously not 2024 Heaney, but earlier versions. But Day-Wicks has been known to be thrown around in different roles. He's played a bit of defence, wing and midfield, so he's really versatile and loves a new experience and challenge. Goal sense, this guy is pretty special in that he's really familiar with his surroundings on any ground. He's the type that can get a quick kick out of a pack at goals and often see it sail through. That's something that's really hard to teach as a player as well. He's got that natural goal sense and spatial awareness to his game, which makes him such a dangerous player inside forward 50 when he has the ball. We lack players like that on our list. I like Welfie, I like Gresham, but I feel like Day-Wicks just has that goal-kicking ability that comes so naturally and is almost untrained. And impact, he can be a low-disposal, high-impact player. I remember watching a Bendigo game halfway through the year, and he only had 16 or 17 touches, but he was a real handful for opposition coaches and defenders. But yeah, those are the main strengths, I feel. X-factor, marking, versatility, goal sense, and impact. And there are probably some others that you can throw in there as well. Weaknesses, now there are a fair few. As good as he is at his best, he is quite poor at his worst. 3 goals from 24 touches, followed up with 1 goal, 3 from 14, and then the week after that he gets 3 goals from 23 again. His form wavers a lot, it is all over the place. He's very good at his best, but very bad at his worst, and it's a big reason why some recruiters would have been scared off by him. It's really hard to know what version of Wicks you're going to get. Reliability, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with consistency, but I think for a player this impactful at his best, those form dips really hurt when they come. This is a guy that you can rely on when he's up and about, and then the next week he'll almost cost a team some momentum because he just isn't providing. Consistency is obviously an issue for young players, but when young players are as big in the moment as this guy, it's not good to see them not up and about all the time. Durability, I mean, he's had some interruptions and it did hurt his form a tad. The glandular fever was a bad one, I feel, and that's hard to recover from quickly, especially at such a young age. So that weakness isn't as big as guys like Kane Baldwin or Zach Reed. Conversion, he can kick specky goals, he kicks some freak goals, but you do notice him rack up a fair amount of behinds as well. That should be noted. He isn't perfect in front of goals. And composure, now this is a funny one because I think it does tie into how he's feeling a bit. There are times where he just looks levels above with ball in hand and he looks really classy on that left boot. And there are others where you see him rush out a disposal and do something he probably shouldn't. Realistically, there is a reason he was rookie drafted. He's got lots of weaknesses and he will be the first to tell you that as well. But those strengths to me make it well worth it. All he needs to do is get to work in an AFL system. Expectations for 2025 and beyond, honestly, who knows? I don't know how good this kid's going to be. I really think he could be just about anything. He could be an absolute star. He genuinely could be a star for Essendon. It wouldn't surprise me. I know he's a rookie pick, but there is a world where he gets it all right and just becomes an incredible player. The glimpses we've seen are there, but there's also a world where he just doesn't find the momentum and form and ends up struggling with the pace of the game. I really don't know how good he's going to be, what side of the spectrum he'll be on. His ceiling is so high, but it's also so low. I really mean that in both ways. There is a reason he was being talked about so much before the year, and there's a reason why that talk fizzed out and he was taken in the rookie draft. This is going to be a fascinating watch to see how he goes at the top level. I think he'll be very much a glimpses player early, but also it wouldn't even surprise me to see him play AFL footy next year. I really can't stress enough how unpredictable he is. I have no expectations, no bar. He could be absolutely anything. He's going to join training on Monday. He'll probably take a specky on Tuesday and then Wednesday go missing. Who knows what's going to happen with him, but that's the fun thing about this. It's a rookie pickup, low risk, high reward if it pays off. I genuinely do think he could end up being a real player for us. His ceiling is really high, as I've said, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's on our list longer than some of the guys we drafted in the national draft. I wanted him for a reason, and it's because if he even gets close to his potential, he's going to be a very good player for us. So that is the exciting, unpredictable Archer Day-Wicks, our newest recruit, almost a Jake Stringer-like replacement, to be honest, and in some ways, not all of them, but there are some similarities there. That is all though. Cheers for watching, Bomber fans. Stay tuned for my Angus Clark video, which is out later today in a few hours. Stay tuned tomorrow for looks at Reece Unwin and Zach Johnson, and then next week it's all about training and 2025. Cheers for watching, like, subscribe, and go Bombers.